Mr. President, I just don't...
Hang on a second, Charlie.
Death to the New World Order. Death to the New World Order. 9/11's an inside job. 9/11's
Schultz.
an inside job.
So quiet those
To
pigeons.
the New World Order.
Yes, sir.
9/11's
Charlie,
an
can I look at
inside
those
job.
bullet points for a minute?
9/11's an inside job.
I see. It's left no stone unturned, eh? There you go. Continue, Charlie. I can think clearly now.
That's right, Mr. President. Okay, where was I?
Death to the New World Order. Death to the New World
Schultz,
Order.
shut the GD window.
9/11's an inside job. 9/11's an inside job. Death to the New World Order.
Schultz, when this is finished, I'm off to Camp David, and you're off to Camp FEMA. And as for that big mouth Texican friend of yours, he's been a thorn in my side ever since I got into office. By the time I finish with him, he'll wish he was with Travis at the Alamo.
Excuse me, Mr. President, your guards aren't Secret Service. I love the new uniforms. Can I take a closer look at them?
Details stand fast while the crew get a look at you.
What a cute paw. With blood on its claws? Backwater Isn't this supposed to be Blackwater, USA?
Vicky, Blackwater was the past. Backwater USA is our future.
Mr. President, if we can continue, please.
So stay keep going.
Alright. Now then, on the morning of 9/11, out of 4 planes crashing, supposedly only 2 black boxes were recovered. And of the 2, FBI Director Robert Mueller claimed that there was no useful information on them.
Okay. I'm sure FBI Director Robert Mueller is an educated man. If he thought there was any valuable information that was relevant to the public, he would have disclosed it. Once again, Charlie, you've got to learn to trust your government. We know what's best for you.
Mr. President, back in 2004, New York firefighters Mike Malone and Nicholas DeMasi went public to say that they had found black boxes at the World Trade Center, but were told to keep their mouths shut by FBI. Nicholas DeMasi said that he was escorted by federal agents on all-terrain vehicles in October 2001 and helped them locate the devices.
Why didn't they admit this from the beginning?
Well, it's quite obvious, Mr. President. They were ordered to keep quiet.
Well, they should have listened to their conscience.
But now you're starting to sound like a patriot, Mr. President.
Next question, please.
Mr. President, on the very morning of 9/11, a continuity of government law was passed for the running of a shadow government.
Charlie, only certain ministers who have a top security clearance would have knowledge of this and can only speak about it among themselves. And because of its secret nature, I can't disclose it to members of the public. And that would even be for national security matters.
But Mr. President, you once promised us transparency, and I haven't seen any yet.
Charlie, you want transparency?
Yes, I really want transparency.
You really want transparency?
Yes, I really want it.
See old glory over here? This flag represents that I have a mandate from the people and that I do what's right for this country. Even if it means overriding the Constitution, so be it. Everything is fine in this nation.
Mr. President, is our country in distress?
You mark my words, there is no sign anywhere that this country is in distress.
Well, on that note, I'd say it's time for another break.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Okay, thanks, Vicky. Mr. President, once again, quite puzzling, going against the laws of physics. Titanium engines melting and a passport clears the building falls 90 odd stories onto the pavement for someone to clearly find it and work out who the terrorist was. Mr. President, I just don't believe it.
Well, neither do I. It's quite obvious, Charlie. The passport's a fake. It's a fake. The reason being is it couldn't have survived the fire. Obviously, someone is trying to discredit the government, and, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if those truthers are behind all this, the so-called patriots.
Mr. President, out of all the 9/11 incredible inconsistencies, this one perplexes me and concerns me the most.
Yep.
When the planes hit the World Trade Center, 90% of the fuel exploded on impact, with most of the fuel vaporizing and in the blast as it left the building.
Yes.
Mr. President, aviation fuel burns at its peak at approximately 1200 degrees. However, the World Trade Towers had 47 steel columns made from high tensile steel, stress tested to 3000 degrees. Sir, the building could have burnt for 2 whole years and it still would have stood.
Yeah.
So why did the building fall? And why wasn't the evidence of 110 floors of concrete stacked up like pancakes? Mr. President, steel columns melted and disappeared from sight in what can only be described as pools of liquid metal. Those working at the scene, who went to look for survivors after the collapse, described in their own words as a scene you would find at an iron foundry. Sir, this was not caused by any planes or by fuel burning. This was caused by something else. Nanothermate.
Professor Stephen Jones, who was a doctor of physics, concerning new bombshell evidence that conclusively proves that thermite was used to cut the main pillars in the World Trade Center towers.
There is this molten material flowing out of the South Tower just before its collapse. There's a large quantity of yellow hot metal. And then I read about these pools of molten metal underneath both towers and Building 7 after their collapses. Now that fits like a glove with the thermite reaction, which produces molten iron. You also see in these videos of this molten metal coming up, you see this white ash, this dust that comes off. Now that combination, yellow hot molten metal, white ash floating away, that's his signature characteristic for thermite. And then finally, we got some samples of this metal, the previously molten metal. Using advanced techniques like proton-induced X-ray emission and an electron microprobe, we found out what's in these samples. We're finding iron, also sulfur, potassium, and manganese. And these are characteristic of a variation of thermite, which is used to cut through steel very rapidly. It's called thermate.
And thermite were both discovered, and that's what melted 47 steel pillars in each building, resulting in the collapse of 2 of the greatest towers in the whole world. Someone's responsible, and we want answers. Mr. President, Ground Zero was a monumental crime scene of nearly 3,000 murders. When do we start exporting all relevant evidence of a crime out of the country without even opening an investigation into the cause of so much loss of life? I forgot. We can't have forensic teams sifting for answers. They might have actually found the truth. But why should I be surprised when they cut up JFK's limo?